there was pushback against a public daycare center at a Seoul area apartment. What happened?
All right, so this is a story where prepare to be angry, get your typing fingers ready,
Yes.
where character education, 인성교육, is so important.
Okay.
So when I say public daycare, we're talking about 국공립어린이집. I have no child of my own, but my friends who do, I mean, this is like the holy grail. They're
Yes.
like, if you get into a 국공립어린이집, you're set.
Yes.
But
yes.
apparently not. So an apartment complex in 종로구 in Seoul had a private daycare center that was run by a church, from the church. However, the center had 14 children.
Okay.
The apartment complex itself has about 50 toddlers and kids who would be at a daycare age because there are a lot of working parents.
Yes.
However, that daycare center is closing. So 종로구 district office sent an official notice to the Residents Association, 입주자 대표회의, proposing that this private church-run daycare center be
Yes.
moved inside the apartment complex, and the district would take steps to turn it public, which great, let's do it. When can I go? However, the Residents Association, then they took steps according to the rules, the bylaws, and put the
Yes.
matter up for a discussion and a vote. Because in order to make any changes to the shared spaces within the complex,
Okay.
you need a majority yes from the residents.
Oh, so question. What went wrong? What's the
A
problem?
lot of things. Initially, a group of residents took issue with this process having moved too quickly and there not being a proper input gathering process. That's legitimate. But then things exploded during the public discussion at the apartment's meeting. So some hardliners against this public daycare
Okay.
took it in a weird direction. So they divided people by their income class. And then comments, according to reports citing people who are at the meeting, said, "Are you poor? Is that why you want this public facility here?" They said maybe they would be okay with an English kindergarten, which, again, they're not kindergartens, they're private academies,
Right.
but not a public daycare. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So another comment said that these individuals were concerned about kids from lower income families
Yes.
being able to get into this facility, which I'm assuming this apartment they deem it to be an expensive one.
Okay.
So they wanted to check with the authorities on whether these lower income families would have priority to get into a public daycare. The opponents even filed a petition calling on the resident representatives to resign. And some of them did, a handful of them did upon pressure.
Oh, really?
And they are even criticizing public officials and filing complaints, 민원, about, again, they were trying to do a good thing by having a public daycare in the apartment.
I'm so curious. What happened next?
Well, the church wound up shutting down the daycare,
Okay.
and then it never went public. So 4 of the 14 families who sent children to that church for daycare, they moved. And partially, of course, convenience, but partially also out of fear of hatred, because if you're getting comments like, "Are you poor?"
Yeah.
then would you want to live there? So the residents say they'll continue to push for a public daycare inside the apartment. And one resident said, a reason that we have such a low birth rate, that many young couples don't want to have children, is because parents cannot juggle work and childcare.
Right.
And having a daycare center where you live would ease that burden. So this person didn't understand why others wouldn't see it that way. So yeah,
I just don't get
character
it.
building education,
For adults.
so important.
For adults,
yeah,
yes.
for adults too, at all ages.
All right, let's move on. Audition programs are kind of like a staple of television these days, but there is an audition program that has a very low age threshold. So what are we talking
Right,
about?
from American Idol to Produce 101, we all love audition
Yeah.
programs. However, what about this? A K-pop idol audition for girls who are 15 and younger. That's
that's not the minimum age. That's the maximum.
That's the maximum age.
Okay.
So this is station MBN's Under 15. That's the title of the show. It says it is looking for a new generation of K-pop talent and recently unveiled some of their contestants, as you can see. Yeah. So in the photos, we see the girls, and they are girls 15 and under,
Yeah.
in a full face of makeup, in, sleeveless, shoulder halter tops, crop shirts, posing in front of the camera. In some of the videos, you see them dancing. And by the way, you will see numbers like 15, 11, or 8 next to their names in the dancing videos, that's their age. So 8. Yeah, so it has been promoted as the world's first audition of its kind, featuring 58 girls between the ages of 8 and 15.
I can't imagine the stress.
Yeah, exactly.
For these girls.
And that's why fans have been less than enthusiastic, let's just say, questioning the merits of having children, preteens to young girls competing for public attention, essentially, having them in front of cameras. So reaction has been stronger overseas. I'm quoting a comment. It's crazy to sexually objectify young girls, put them in front of cameras, and have them be judged.
And
of course,
they're going to be harsh.
They're going to be harsh.
Just for the ratings.
Even the judges, judges might not be harsh, but comments are going to be harsh. And some of the K-pops or any pop songs do have a sexual aspect to them. So are they going to be really strict in filtering those out? Well, let's hope so. One industry insider said that the perception of age is very cut and dry, especially overseas.
Yes.
Some countries see minors under 16 as those that should have complete and absolute protection. So it might be different if the show were, say, to form a choir with these girls. But K-pop process is based on competition and a little bit of objectification.
Oh, absolutely.
So the show does outwardly promote fierce competition. That is in one of their bylines, fierce competition. So do we want that for developing kids?
Well, I think, as parents, you have to decide, but also as a society, if this turns you off, do not tune in.
Yes.
Because,
But then as a society, of course, it's a personal choice, but do we also want our society to be more protective of children in general?
We should always protect children.
Absolutely.
On a personal note, if my daughter were, talented and wanted to, maybe at the age of 15, we could consider maybe, starting that process. But these kids, these are babies, as Leslie says. They're babies.
And there's a whole discussion that's going on online forums about the appropriateness of the whole idol training system
itself, right?
Because sometimes they do get pulled out of school.
Yes.
Let's move on.
We have a couple driving-related stories.
Again, get your typing fingers ready because, yeah.
Here we go. Ready.
Right. Basic rule in driving 101, don't hit anything or anyone.
Oh, gosh, please, yes.
But also, rule number 2, if there's been an accident, don't leave. That's called a hit and run. That's called 뺑소니.
Illegal.
Right.
You might get arrested.
You have a duty. You actually do have a duty to rescue or save the person that's been in an accident.
Yes.
So a driver in his 50s was found guilty of not doing this. So recently, Jeonju Regional Court found this driver guilty of aggravated hit and run, resulting in injury, and not taking action after an accident, sentenced to 1 year, suspended for 2 years.
Okay.
So what happened? This accident took place last April. He was driving in Kimjae in Jeonbuk when he hit another man on a bicycle.
Okay.
Number 1, the driver was on his cell phone. Yeah. So hit the
Wrong thing number 1.
Wrong thing number 1. He was
Okay.
on his phone. Hit the biker to his right. Didn't realize it, apparently. The bicyclist sustained a fractured bone and other injuries. And the thing is, the driver left. He drove off, but then came back.
Which goes back to when you said he hit the biker but did not realize it?
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
In court, the driver testified he saw a bicycle had fallen over. So he got out of the car, picked the bicycle up and stood it upright, and then drove off.
Okay.
But then he realized that he had heard a strange sound. And at that point, a lot of thoughts ran through his head. So after driving for a bit, he decided to turn his car around and called 119.
Oh. Well, I'm curious. Is there a ruling on this?
Well, yes, because he was found guilty. So the judge said, although the driver did come back, the fact that he did not try to first help the person and didn't take any action constitutes what's called a form of intent. Right? A bit of legalese.
Okay.
미필적 고의, which is recklessness or form of intent. And in law, this form of intent is demonstrated if someone can foresee or predict the possibility of their action, but continues with the action, thereby accepts the potential outcomes. Basically, in normal people terms, if you know you're doing something wrong and you do it, you accept the responsibilities.
Right.
Which is a good life lesson overall.
Yes.
Well, the point is, though, although he came back, he did not help the bicyclist right away, and that constitutes a hit and run along with 미필적 고의, form of intent. So, point is, don't hit anyone. Don't be on your phone.
Don't be on your phone.
But because accidents happen. I mean, we're not saying, accidents happen, but when it does, help that person. You are legally obliged to.
Next story. Another reckless driver. What's going on?
All right. Driving while reading. I know.
We want to
seriously,
encourage reading, but not
I love
while
reading,
you're driving.
And that's
Come
why
on,
if I
guys.
have a good book, I always take the subway so I can read. Because
not in your
you
car.
shouldn't drive while you're reading. So according to a JTBC report, a middle-aged man in Songpa was sighted driving with a book on his steering wheel.
Oh, gosh.
The person who sent this photo said the driver wasn't looking at the road at all.
Oh, my gosh.
And of course, they haven't really caught the person, but according to a former police officer who was interviewed,
Yes.
of course, some cars have autonomous driving, but even if your car does have self-driving features, reading while driving is a clear violation of a driver's duties.
Sorry, I was just doing the dory the whole time.
Yeah, I
'cause,
just
can't. I always try to look at, all angles of the story. There's no defending this one. Just don't. All right. Lastly, a domestic airline is making changes in its hiring policy. I saw this one.
Positive story. All right.
Yay.
So how flight attendants, 승무원, are selected, it's been a matter of discussion in the country.
Yes.
Right? Because flight attendants, their primary role is safety. But sometimes they are still being treated as service providers and their looks. Their looks are heavily reflected on
In Korea, yes.
in the hiring process. And even after they get the job, I mean, you see the uniforms, the tight skirts, and sometimes the mid to low heels,
Yes.
and you're like, are you gonna be able to run in those?
I don't know. Are you going to be able to save me?
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to lift me?
Please.
I don't think so.
So
Yes.
eStar, a low-cost carrier in Korea, said they're adding physical tests and emergency response tests. And by the way, that initially surprised me. Like you
did
don't
it have it
them
already?
But
Apparently
they will
not.
add role play missions to see how prospective flight attendants respond to various situations,
Yes.
like subduing a passenger who's acting out and guiding emergency evacuation. The physical will include sit-ups, running, high jump, arm reach, and even your voice decibel. Should I try? I mean,
They said arm reach.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. So, good point. Touche.
Yes.
So an official from the airline said they formed a task force and had expert consultations to bring about this change.
Right.
And hope that this would be a first step in changing perceptions that flight attendants get hired based on age and looks.
Well, thank you for all the Waggly news. We'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Haley.
Have a great day.